big home run plays that they might need to maintain control.
At this point, though, the only thing I am worried about is you are 100% hubris with this pickup. You're picking it into Dark Willow. If you don't have BKB, you're going to need to get one. Otherwise, you're immediately going to get terrorized out of your own Chronosphere, and then you're going to feel pretty sad. At the same time, Treant Protector, whoever's going to get gone on by that Faceless Void is going to get Living Armored. It's something you're always going to need to contend with. So in Dying, again, they're sort of banking on the fact that they have this high level of execution. If they're able to land all of their spells, we have Moon Meander on his almost signature at this point, Hoodwinked, where he's going to sit in the lane, he's going to plant his feet down, he's really going to be the hero playing versus that Treant Protector. And it's going to feel pretty good, I think, where both of them sort of play in the trees. I think at earlier levels, Treant Protector is going to be a little bit more obnoxious, but it's pretty easy to find him with that Bushwhack. But for Zoomers, I think they're calling Undying's bluff here. With this TB pickup, again, you do have that Sunder, ignores the AA Blast, doesn't need to worry about that just a bit. But at the same time, they're saying we are not dying in your Chronosphere. If Tomato is not on point, if you are not finding those very small openings that we're going to give you, we're going to pick this TB up, we're going to win that carry matchup, we're going to get the Scotty up, and if you ever throw, we are going to be there to punish you. And we saw yesterday, it was actually Undying the ones who were always finding 4 Zoomers in the pit. And Sammy Boy, he's put up on this hero again, where even yesterday in the one game that they lost, it felt like they were winning for a large part. It was just those 1-2 misplays near the pit versus the AA versus the Void, where now 4 Zoomers, they must be thinking, okay, guys, let's play a little bit better. We were so confident yesterday. Our draft was so good. Now we just need to shore up those 1-2 mistakes, and then they don't stand a chance versus us. So really, both teams here are drawing a line in the sand saying, our idea is better. We are going to win. It's honestly a very, very close draft.
Yeah, and personally, you talked about sort of the benefits of the Terrorblade there. I like this pick for 4 Zoomers, not just for that reason, but also in maybe a sort of mental capacity here for 4 Zoomers. As you said, the only match they dropped in that previous series came because Sammy really made 1 or 2 sort of minor mistakes on that Terrorblade. So here, it is a hero that he favors pretty highly. It's a hero that he has a proven track record on, but game 1 of a best of 5 is the exact point to throw this TB out there, sort of a bit of a heat check. See where Sammy Boy's at. Is he on point with that TB? Because if he is, great. You can maybe take game 1 and you still have that sort of card to work with later on down the line. And if it isn't, if Sammy Boy isn't feeling it, if he's still not sort of getting the execution you want, you find that out now, here in game 1. And if it's not working for you, you shelve it. You move on for the rest of the series. So I like the fact that they're just basically trying to see where they stand with this Terrorblade right now. It puts them in a position to succeed, and it puts them in a stronger position information-wise for some of the later drafts in this series as well.
And I am slightly concerned for Undying because even though, again, it feels like 4 Zoomers have the exact same draft they've had over and over again in the tournament, whereas Undying, they have what I would assume to be the best heroes in the meta. It really feels like the way that 4 Zoomers like to play, they get these heroes that they know they aren't really going to be banned out. We really only see this Will banned or picked when that Morphling is still in the pool. Of course, getting banned out immediately by Undying, so not even a thought in their mind. But they always have these very comfort heroes on the niche picks, and we keep seeing them rely on them where, okay, we see what you're doing, we're going to let you have it, because I don't think any team up until this point has said, okay, we're going to steal your Dark Willow, we're going to steal your Treant Protector. We've seen teams try to make it work, but I don't feel like any other players aside from the Zoomers have really had the best grasp on what these heroes are capable of. So seeing them continuously get this sort of meta going that really is just them, they're the only team that plays these heroes at least this consistently. It's just very, very interesting to watch where, again, Undying, they're saying, this is meta, this is what you should do, this is what we are. You're going to have to play versus some of these very, very strong heroes. But you can't help but feel that 4 Zoomers, this is their game, this is their ballpark, they are the invincible ones here. And it's that confidence that, it could be their folly, but I think that they're just going to feel very comfortable in this game.
And now you have a Storm Spirit to follow up on basically any initiation. If the Willow's able to catch someone out, if the Mars can get that sort of arena play going, then Gunner's going to be there to zip in, and Undying, they've got a little bit of lockdown, and the DK is now going to sort of help out on that front, but you're still going to have to be kind of careful about the way you approach this. Any sort of solo initiation from 4 Zoomers could quickly turn into 2 or more if Gunner decides to get involved. So for Undying, I do kind of like that DK pick. It does get them a little bit more in the way of durability with this core trio, but not entirely sure if that's going to be enough. 4 Zoomers, as you said, always just feel like they get so much out of everyone, not just the cores, but Ocean and Husky as well. And I don't know if Undying are going to get the same sort of consistent contribution out of the Hoodwink and the Ancient Apparition.
And that's where it does feel sort of sad because we know how strong a player like Dubu is, especially when he gets on his Enchantress, on his Snapfire. That's why I think a lot of focus is always put on shutting down Dubu. Make sure he's on a hero that, while is impactful, and we saw how impactful his Ancient Apparition was, this isn't a Treant Protector. Your ult isn't going to guarantee hit on 3 or 4 heroes. You aren't able to play in the trees and really be quite as obnoxious. You are relying on Saberlight. You are relying on Bryle, and they're fantastic players that always feel like they get something done. They're always able to grasp their game plan. But if they get shut out, they have an uncharacteristic day, they have a bad game. We've seen this team sort of crumble and sort of crimple into their own selves. And that's where for Zoomers, a team like them, they're going to immediately fill those holes. They're going to fill those gaps. And those really standout performances, they're burned in my memory. I keep on seeing these For Zoomers players just play so well together.
Yeah, very much a team that every once in a while, maybe they're a bit slow to build themselves up, but once they build that momentum, once they're sort of going at you downhill, then
Stop jungling, let's push.
it is so unbelievably difficult to sort of step in front of that sort of freight train and try to sort of get yourself back into it. And especially for an Undying squad that, as you mentioned, we have seen in the past, if they get put on the back foot, if their initial sort of plans kind of fall through, their responses have not always been fantastic. That's not to say that they can't sort of get themselves back into it in this scenario, but we've seen what happens when that pressure sort of gets to them. They really do sort of shrink in onto themselves, and the execution sort of suffers as a result. And this is not a lineup where you can afford to have that sort of lack of execution. They're going to need to hit these combos. They're going to need to hit their timings. If they don't do that, For Zoomers may just sort of walk over them.
And really the hole that For Zoomers always sort of poke and prod is Moon Meander, where he likes to play the style where he gets a little bit more farm. We saw in really both games versus Infamous, he puts himself at risk. He gets a lot of last hits. He gets a lot of net worth sort of placed on himself because he is always in those risky positions. But we saw in the For Zoomers series the other day, they were killing him off cooldown consistently. They always had 1-2 heroes consistently set up trying to find him. And that's where maybe Undying, they need to make the call that, Moon, this is your playstyle. We love you. We love what you do. You're so impactful, but you need to cool a little bit, because for Zoomers, it really did feel like if they're consistently able to find those fights where maybe, all muted, not playing with those voice lines at all. But if they're able to poke and prod and sort of find those issues that Undying definitely do have, they aren't bulletproof. This tournament has definitely shown that they aren't invincible. That's where maybe you make the adjustment. Maybe you make the change in play. I'd love to see a game where Moon Meander is 4-1 and 17 on some of these heroes. I'd like to see him sort of clean up that risky playstyle he likes so much.
Mm-hmm. Especially with the Hoodwink, this could potentially be that game if he's able to sort of clean it up here. We know what this Hoodwink at sort of maximum power is capable of, so it would be interesting to see, and certainly something that Undying would appreciate sort of going in their favor, as we see Moon already trying to get a little bit aggressive there. Bushwhack in onto Sammy Boy. Really not enough damage to matter, but Moon at this point just sort of letting Sammy know, we're here, we're willing to sort of harass you. They get the ward down there as well, so they've got sort of vision over the pole camp, and maybe they could see some rotations here. I don't know. There's a bit of a path, but they're just trying to sort of protect that as best as they can. But now we see Undying really just grouping up for the runes here. Not going to do anything too crazy. We talk about this repeatedly in this event. These NA squads, they're not willing to take that kind of risk. They're not willing to burn through the regen that early. They're just all about setting up for those lanes.
And that's where a team like Undying too, with the heroes they draft, they never have the best level 1. At the same time, for Zoomers, you don't want to be forced to have your TB maybe skill up that Q, just pop the meta a little bit too early in lane. They want what they have to bring to lane. They never want to have to deal with sort of a subpar start. And it's just the consistency. They want to get where they are through their skills, through their lanes. NA squads, they hate losing their lanes. They hate getting punished. So this is just how they always like to start their games.
Yeah, just sort of the most even, most conventional, most predictable kind of scenario. As you said, NA teams, you don't want to lose, and the easiest way to avoid losing is to set up a situation where you feel sort of comfortable and familiar with. So we are going to be seeing this get underway. We've already got the 2 supports actually duking it out a bit, as Dubu is taking some damage from Ocean. This is an interesting play from the Willow, just trying to force Dubu away from the lane as quickly as possible. And yeah, Dubu, okay. He's not having any of that. Just TPs himself back. He's really not willing to be out of the lane that long, but that puts his TP on cooldown now, so if 4-Zoomers could get a little aggressive onto him, maybe secure some sort of first blood play or push him out of lane again, then Dubu's not really going to have too many means of getting back in. So it's a risky play, but Dubu's kind of betting on himself, betting he's going to be able to sort of keep himself up in this lane long enough where that's not going to be an issue. But Roshan comes in with the Bramble once again. Dubu's going to take the damage. Brax doesn't have the spear just yet, though, as he's not level 2, so they're not going to be able to follow it up, but we've seen this combo from 4-Zoomers time after time. Bramble, Rebuke, Spear Stun, Cursed Crown, all of it being thrown out. Undying, they're just not going to have fun in this lane once those levels get up.
Yeah, and that's where Tomato really needs to be careful. We see him get the value point in the time dilation, so Ocean does need to be slightly cautious, but versus this AA, again, AA is one of those heroes, almost like the 5 Viper, where there are 2 heroes in your lane. You can only chilly touch one of them. You can't expend too much mana, but you're going to do your damnness to try and keep these heroes out of Tomato's face, and they will struggle a little bit to make this play onto Tomato, just having that time walk. All of Brax's damage is more or less instant, and I don't think the stun is necessarily too long for you to get out of that timing where he might just be able to shrug it off with the time walk, so the damage really isn't going to come till later down the line. And it looks like Brax is setting himself up as well for that Soul Ring, so we're not going to see that Orb of Corrosion, but I think with the sentries placed, yeah, I think actually he body blocked both of the small camp, or body blocked the small camp twice on that Dark Well, so Brax is going to be getting all of these levels, and there's not much they can do about it.
Not really going to be able to pull it back just yet, so Brax should be... Actually, I was going to say pulling away, but he's slightly, or was slightly behind Tomato. He is going to be able to get a couple of creeps under his tower by himself, and that should just about even him up. So, honestly, this is what you want if you're 4-Zoomers. You're not going to be able to shut down that Faceless Void entirely, but get your levels on the Mars, find some early items for him, as you mentioned, that Soul Ring being worked on, and then look and see what Brax can do. He's always sort of so active on these heroes. I guess maybe the Beastmaster is sort of the exception. He just sort of sits and makes that lane just completely dead, but on someone like the Mars, he is going to be able to sort of make some maneuvers here. Speaking of which, Ocean drops down the Bramble, but he is going to get hit up by both the Dilation and the sort of Chilling Touch in response, so... Or, excuse me, not Chilling Touch, the Cold Feet coming out there, my mistake, but that is going to be enough to push him back. The Salve, though, will be deployed, so Ocean's going to be just fine, while up in the top lane, Husky getting picked off. Too close to the trees. That's kind of what Treant wants, but it's what the Hoodwink wants as well. Bushwhack in, and Meander's going to be able to find the kill.
And I'll be honest, this isn't a death that we don't see very uncommonly from the 4-Zoomer side, because he starts with those boots. He really uses this death, I think, as a courier ride for the Terrorblade, but also just to get himself full mana and HP. So again, isn't the worst case scenario. I think we've seen Husky give up First Blood actually a lot at this tournament. Maybe not on purpose, of course it's never ideal, but you are just sort of helping out Sammy Boy's lane. He really is going to be the winning objective. It doesn't matter how much your game is sort of suffering.
Husky, yeah, very good at that. It's just sort of sacrificing himself over and over again. He knows my deaths really aren't going to matter. If Sammy Boy's farming, then it's all just going to sort of come out even, but that is going to depend on Sammy Boy farming. So far, though, that hasn't really been a problem. 18-5 for the TB. Saberlight has...
Thanks, guys.
Occasionally come in onto him with the Whirling Death, but at this point, Saberlight doesn't really have a whole lot to work with mana-wise, so they're not going to be able to sort of keep this up consistently, and Sammy can just keep on farming up under his tower as Husky getting hit up again there by that Bushwhack play. Moon Meander, though, couldn't actually prevent the pull, so they can't prevent it, but they can steal it. Saberlight's going to take the creep wave all the way back onto his own side.
Bottom, looks like another failed play onto Dubu. His positioning has been honestly fantastic. He's really been avoiding these brambles, but also just not letting them get that the rebuke into it. They've been playing very well around the enemy team's spells, and they're 100% not getting punished for it. So Tomato can maintain this. I don't really think this combo can ever really get a kill outside of maybe Tomato becoming a Bash Lord, but really the only time I think Brax is going to fear dying is if he lets himself get a little bit too low, or if that Timber Saw decides to TP bottom once he gets level 6. So really just a very, very slow start for both sides. Not one that I don't think either mind.
Yeah, they're finding so much farm here right now that really they're not going to care too much. Brax and Ocean would probably like to get maybe a bit more aggressive onto the likes of Dubu, but if they can't do it, it's really not going to hurt them too significantly. But now mid, Gunner, okay, sort of sees that maneuver coming. Moon Meander was rotating in, so the Storm will zip himself away, and going to avoid getting caught there, refilling the bottle with the Bounty Rune, and He is level 6 now, so we could potentially see Gunner
Ooh,
sort of go
unlucky.
on the move.
His card just
Meander,
gunned for it. It went past the creep wave. It got aggroed onto the tower, and
they're going to
every
go
time he
for
hits it,
this.
yeah, Gunner is in 3 heroes. Oh no!
Oh, that's a problem. The Cold Feet's going to stun him up. Can he get out? No, he can't. He was trying, but he's not going to be able to get it in time. But that living
The
armor,
acorn.
keeping him alive. He's zipping himself out. He's actually going to survive, TPing himself home. Meanwhile, Dubu actually may be the one to die here. As Ocean's going in for it, he's going to get it. How does that turnaround come through? Ocean able to find the kill. He should be paying for it with his life here as Brow comes in for the Breathe Fire to get the kill, but mission accomplished. Honestly, if you're Ocean, who cares if you die? You saved the storm and got a kill in that scenario.
And not just that, you completely waste out that DK form, so your tower is going to stay alive that little bit longer. Every time Brow is able to hit that tower, I think it's a guaranteed 150 damage, so really just not skipping a beat. And it was a really good zip. I think he saw where Moon was heading there in case he did want to zip to that high ground. Moon, he was making the right decision, trying to find that easy punish, but instead, not really going to happen. And meanwhile, top, we did see that Timbersaw able to get his level 6. Husky's just going to try and cut the wave, be annoying. He was also somehow able to kill that cart just in time. Maybe that's how Sammy Boy committed his meta, but he is just going to be full mode farm now, and they don't really have a fantastic hero to harass him. Up until Saberlight's able to claim a few of these tier 1 towers, they are just going to sort of cut in, try and do as much damage as they can, because they do need to put a lot of pressure on these tier 1s, otherwise they are just going to get healed up by Husky.
That is always sort of the problem fighting into that Treant lineup. It's not going to be about sort of whittling away at the towers. You're not allowed to do that. If you can't take it in maybe 1 or 2 swings, then it's just not going to go your way. As Husky pulling that creep wave back, Saberlight is still going for this one. I mean, he's just dishing out what damage he can, but the living armor is just constantly there, and pre-flamethrower, there's not a whole lot Saberlight can do to these objectives. So he might as well just stay here, try and control the lane, farm up a little bit more while he's at it, but you're not really going to get that tower right now, and at this point, Moonmander rotated around. They're going to look for this one. Here comes the TP in from the Storm, though, and Gunner wants into the fight. Moonmander pulled in by the Vortex. Braldo's here to help with the Curse Crown. Actually going to stun up both of them. That's a bit of a mistake. Moon still trying to get away, though. The Scurry is going to help him sort of get away from that fight, and Bryle with a DD is not exactly the target you want to push it onto either. So Undying are able to get everyone away despite that sort of 2-man Curse Crown, but I don't know. If you're Gunner, I don't think you gave up too much on that play, although he's a little low on mana now, and you're going to get hit up by the Bushwhack. The Cold Feet comes through as well, and I mean, he's taking a lot of damage here, actually. He might just want to bail out. Yep.
And fortunately, you weren't able to defend your tower just barely with those rotations. And this is what Undying need to do if they want these early towers with the Timbersaw and the DK. They need to strike in 2 places at the same time. And for Zoomers, I think almost incorrectly makes the decision there that it's easier to fight on mid. You saw Gunner not even try for the DK. He just went immediately on the Moon. And I definitely think that's the easier target. And now Ocean, Tomato's showing up mid with Chrono. They're just guaranteeing that this tier 1 tower does not get saved.
Dancing his way around the tower for a few seconds, but that's 4 heroes surrounding you, and the tower isn't able to provide enough protection. So Ocean gets taken down. Dubu's going to be the one who actually gets that tier 1, but that is the first objective claim for them. Meanwhile, over on the other side of the map, Husky.
I think Husky is gone.
Yeah, Saberlight
One more
should
spell.
have him.
Thanks, guys.
Gotta wait for the shock room. Okay, doesn't even need it. The right clicks are there instead, so Saberlight finds the kill. He's going to be able to get back in onto this tier 1, but this push has sort of gone on for such a long time at this stage. It just feels like Saberlight can get it eventually, but he's spending so much time here that I don't know. You're preventing him from rotating elsewhere, at least for the moment. As Tomato going to get jumped in on. There's going to be the Vortex into the Spear, into the Curse Crown as well. Do they have enough damage, though? Yes, they do. Tomato taken down. Meanwhile, the Hoodwink TP'd in. Moonmander's going to take a little bit of damage, but with Saberlight in here, too, 4 Zoomers, they don't want any more. They got what they wanted out of that fight. They pick off the Faceless Void. There's no reason to go any further forward, especially considering Gunner is pretty much completely out of mana now.
Yeah, and I understand why you want to make that aggressive play. You still have the Chrono, you stick the Void in the lane with those heroes, and if you got the Chrono off, that's fantastic, but instead, you could also just make this very simple rotation where you just TP top, you don't die on the Void, and you put yourself in a lot less threat, because aside from the Chronosphere and the DK stun, once he gets that Blink Dagger, Gunner is pretty much going to have a walk in the park. There's no one he can really go on, and yeah, Moon, you showed a little bit too hard, and he's just going to get punished.
Too far forward, not quite respecting the initiation range of Gunner, as they will be able to find that kill, and now Saberlight, yeah, it's time to fall back. He's still got the tower here to sort of act as that deterrent, so 4 Zoomers aren't really going to dive him, especially with max reactive armor, but They got the kill that they wanted. Now, Saberlight wants in again. That may have been a bit too far forward, though. He's going to get hit up by the Bramble, into the Curse Crown, into the Spear. And that felt pretty horrible. Husky did throw the Overgrowth out there at the end, so at least that's on cooldown. But if you're Saberlight, you were free and clear. Ooh, okay, slightly missed timing there with the Spear, so I think Moon's going to be okay. But now the reinforcements are coming. Tomato wants in. The Chrono's at the ready. Can they find it? He's going to go for it. They connected onto Gunner. Able to hit him up with the Ice Blast. So they do find that first kill. Can they get more, though? They're going to try to get in onto Ocean, but that Shadow Realm is going to keep him safe for now. But they've still got a bit of a weird situation here. Tomato is Chronoless, but Brax wants in. He'll look for the Spear stun. He hits up Dubu. He's got to step out of that cold feet range, though, first. And that's going to cost him some damage. Meanwhile, Ocean taken down. Brax is now on the run. The Sharpshooter is going to connect, though, and he just has to TP away. Is there any cancel? So Brax gets out, but if you're Undying, honestly, that goes pretty well. The Chronosphere connects. You get both Gunner and Ocean in that fight, and you did end up sort of losing a couple of heroes there initially and in the previous engagement before it, but overall, it feels like that's working out perfectly. First Chrono of the game is going to net you 2.
And they had the perfect ward there. They were ready to feel confident with that dive. They really knew that there were no other heroes coming, at least not from the tower side. But I believe it was a smoke actually coming in from Dubu that allowed Tomato to slink up on that Storm Spirit. And you catch a Storm Spirit with half HP and quarter mana, you're always going to kill him in those Chronospheres. And now they're playing around these stacks that Sammy Boy, he wants to take them, but he doesn't have meta. I think he used it earlier to farm out a large camp stack, and
so
okay.
Saberlight gets pulled back in. There's going to be the Spear stun. The Curse Crown dropped onto him as well. The Bedlam even coming out for the damage. Do they have enough, though? Saberlight trying to hold his ground, but will be taken out. Husky, meanwhile, did drop down the Overgrowth that actually clips Bryle, so he wasn't able to get all the way into the fight with that double damage, but he does still have the Breathe Fire. That's enough to take down Ocean, but at that point, that's not what they wanted. They lose, they lose Saberlight for just a support. Now Moon gonna get jumped in on as well. Gunner able to find the kill. Bryle blinking forward there, going in for the Dragon Tail stun. Brax, however, sitting on the high ground, waiting for his moment, looking for the Spear. Does he have the opening? He does, onto no one. That didn't hit Dubu. Wow. And now Gunner.
And Gunner.
They need to get him out of here. He doesn't have enough mana. He's
dead.
trying to zip away, but he's not gonna make it.
And maybe they get Husky now too.
That just felt so strange. Gunner taken down. Husky is gonna get finished off as well, as you said. Bryle grabs the double, and I don't really know. It feels like Gunner probably could have just, or should have just backed off there, tried to sort of get back onto his own side, but maybe he felt if he retreated there, they were going to be able to sort of lock him down anyway, so he takes a risk, but it really doesn't pay off. Undying are able to find those kills.
And it plays immediately into that DK Blink Dagger timing where you thought you were confident, you thought you would be able to keep the team fight going without the Timbersaw on the field. And Saberlight is standing a little bit too far forward before that hood. Now that he has it, I think he can survive through the majority of Zoomer's damage. And they keep finding him when his stacks all seemingly decide to end. So they're really catching him with only 6 or 7 reactive armor stacks in the first place. But they make a play on a Gunner. Oh,
on the Moon Meander, but there's Bryle with Blink into the
ready
stun,
for
into the Ice Blast. Gunner is not going to be able to get himself out. What a bait for Moon Meander. I mean, he's just standing there. Not sure if he knew for sure that there was a ward up there, but he at least sort of suspected, and it works out perfectly. Moon stays alive, Gunner gets taken down, and that's a pretty easy combo. That Ice Blast just connects perfectly, and as you said, this Blink timing for the DK is so unbelievably important. Bryle has been making so many plays here, 5-0-1 in this Dragon Knight, and if you're for Zoomers, what is the response here? Gunner is nowhere even remotely close to a defensive item. He's actually looking for the Kaya first, so you don't want him to really back off in terms of trying to go for these plays, but now you're on the back foot as Bryle's going to push forward.
They do have the Overgrowth.
He's got the Arena into that Overgrowth play. Brax, though, is just going to TP out, but he can't get out. The Bushwhack's there to cancel it. The Ice Blast feels maybe unnecessary, but they weren't willing to take any risks. Brax will be taken down, and here come Undying, really starting to feel themselves a little bit more here. The confidence is skyrocketing, and Zoomers have to do something to try and slow this momentum and stop the bleeding.
And really, both carries uncontested. You will see Sammy Boy pull away during all this time. Nothing has really been put on top of that Terrorblade, but you can't help but feel the 4-man on Undying. Once you have these little bit items, like I said, once you have this hood on Saberlight, that damage, it feels like Storm doesn't have enough mana. And once Gunner gets that Kaya Sanj, he does need to be a little bit less scared. We'll probably just see very simply the Kaya Sanj into BKB, or we could just see the Kaya Sanj into Bloodstone. Really depends on how tanky he wants to be. but there shouldn't be any fear from the Storm Spirit once he gets those items. And that's a time that Undying, they definitely need to be a little bit concerned with. But up until this point, you've claimed all of the outer tier 1 towers. Husky hasn't been able to really post up those defenses, and they've been leading these kills into objectives. They've been very clean. And I'm a little bit worried because I am seeing Moon Meander sort of waltz himself into this top lane, a place that he knows very, very well. At least he's Radiant playing into Dire. He will have a little bit more space to work with, but it's actually Tomato
Gunner's
on the
got
low ground.
He's got an arcane rune, and Tomato.
He scouts out everyone, but this is really bad.
Oh
no!
What? They missed the spear. The timing is wrong. The Chrono gets deployed into the Ice Blast, and now this is going to be horrible. Four Zoomers have to fall back. Brax is already dead. Ocean trying to get into the Roche pit. Maybe he can deny himself. Yes, he can. Okay, Roshan is going to kill him, but now Gunner, he popped that arcane hoping for a fight. Instead, he's got to use it to run away.
And really, I think the thing that threw him off there is you have this tree in the river here. At first, I wasn't even sure if he was going to need to commit that arena, but then you miss the stun on the get-go. And I don't even think he landed in a bramble, or at least if he did, he just sat there, didn't really care that he was stunned up, and really just the little misplay. Brax kind of throwing away the game a little bit there. And again, Sammy Boy's farming up. This isn't the worst case scenario, but an easy play onto a clueless Tomato, it's something you don't really see Four Zoomers messing up. They even had the overgrowth there if they really wanted to go for the kill. And okay, Brile is getting hit up just a little bit here, and I think he might actually be dead.
Overgrowth in as well. They're going to just go straight in for him. They do get it. Dubu was able to throw the Ice Blast out. Unfortunately, that means he gives his position away to Gunner, who tries to chase forward, but the Storm doesn't really have any mana left now. He does have enough for that, but Saberlight's too tanky. As you mentioned, with that Hood of Defiance and the raindrops in there as well, they just can't really lock him down. They can't do enough damage to him with the magic. So Sammy is instead going to try to hit up the tower, but oh, that's a problem. Can he actually still get it off? Yeah, but I don't really think it actually connected. So Moon Meander unable to get that damage, and now they're actually going to push their way forward, trying to get some sort of team fight started. But yeah, Ocean's now sort of stuck in no man's land. Terrorized, though. Will be deployed onto 2. Tomato, he's trying to wait, but he still doesn't have the Chrono for 60. But there's going to be the Ice Blast in onto Ocean. They do take him down, but Sammy is able to turn that into a tower. He did not sort of shift focus at any point, just went all in for that tier 1. He's able to get it, and now he backs away.
And it does feel fairly efficient coming in from Zoomers. While you are losing your heroes in some situations that you don't really want, Sammy is untouched. All of his rotations have been sort of flawless here, coming in and out of the jungle. Even that kill on the DK felt very casual, just like, yeah, I'll pop the meta, maybe we get a tier 1 tower. I've got my Diffusal Blade, I'm feeling strong right now. And that's where now Undying, it's on them. Get back out onto the map. We saw so many heroes without mana mid. I really want them to sort of go for that soft reset, especially with that Chronosphere coming up in 20 seconds. They need to continue to be aggressive because this Terrorblade, again, while it's been quiet, I feel like it is sort of becoming that looming presence. Really, both sides, it's such an even game draft-wise where there isn't going to be a situation where one team is going to need to get 15 kills in a row before them to win the game. It feels like either side are going to have their shots in this one. But Sammy Boy, we saw yesterday, this Terrorblade, it's a factor that you really need to be careful about. And he doesn't care about your damage, Dubu. He doesn't care unless he's dying in those Chronospheres. And that's where maybe one kill onto the DK, it doesn't feel like it's going to matter, but maybe it will.
Long zip countered by the Chrono. Ice Blast coming in onto 2. And Gunner, well, okay, they're going to get Moon Meander, but it's going to cost him. Gunner goes down and out of Ocean. He's not actually getting away.
And a third?
Oh man, Brile blinking forward, stun onto the tree end. Husky,
bash?
Did he actually get this? No, Tomato's there. I don't know if that was a bash. I think it was just actually, I think it was just the straight up
damage. Yeah.
3 dead, 4 Zoomers. That's just, I don't know. It feels like an easy kill, but they don't know Tomato is nearby. They don't really have that vision, I suppose, and that's really a play you can't afford to make. You can't get that greedy with it. Tomato is unaccounted for at that moment in time. You know he's got the Chrono, so this feels like Gunner was trying to sort of force a play there, and instead they get turned on. I guess they did get the Hoodwink kill at the end of the day, but that's really just not even close to worth it. And Gunner, I don't know. He's got the Kaya Sanj. He is still sort of coming along here, but that net worth as of right now, well below the cores on the Undying side.
Oh, and at least he is ahead of Brax, but I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. Maybe just indicative of his build. He has these newts, or has the Tranquil Boots Yule Scepter, so he is still getting his key items. He's going for that Blink Dagger now, then maybe that counter initiation will be there. But Gunner really has just been eyeing up Moon Meander time and time again, and again, it's the playstyle that he was getting punished for the last time they scuffled versus each other in that best of 3 yesterday. So again, it's that adjustment that Undying, they keep on learning from their mistakes. Losing that game really has shifted, and I'm very pleased with what we're seeing from him.
Dubu
Dubu
popped the
mid,
smoke,
yeah.
but they do see him, so they will jump in. Quick and easy kill. Ice Blast off the mark. And Tomato, without the chrono, can't really do much here. He's got to fall back. Saberlight's going to be able to sort of just cover his retreat to a certain extent. But if you're Zoomers, you got to kill. That's going to count for something, but that's about a 3 or 4 man smoke that gets you in onto AA, who's maybe not crazy valuable, but kill goes your way. You've got the Blink Dagger now purchased up by Brax. It's on its way out to him, so you're starting to hit those item timings for 4 Zoomers. This is where they could really start turning things around in terms of the aggressive teamfight initiation.
And that's where the pressure, again, will sort of fall onto Bryle and Tomato. With Chronosphere has been able to just sort of come up on its own. There was that small forcing play, and they immediately popped meta for it as well. So instead, Undying are saying, hey, we have our abilities. We don't really have a good way to push onto your towers. Sure, you have this Train Protector healing top, and our car is alive, but instead, come to Roche. We'll see you there. And I actually don't even think they know about it. They have this ward that saw these heroes walking over towards that Roshan pit, but they could perhaps be making the call that if nobody's pushing this top wave, they're trying to catch a hero pushing it in, maybe that Terrorblade, and instead Undying say, nope, Roche, this will be fine for us. And Zoomers aren't taking it. They're making the call that we need to wait for our cooldowns, we're not going to give up a fight, and really neither side is giving up any ground. They don't want to make those decisions that are really going to make the game any harder than it is for each other.
We're not really seeing that mass sort of risk-taking at this point in time. It's relatively, I wouldn't say passive, but cautious. They're not really going to do anything that'll open the door for that counter initiation, although now we do see the 5-man smoke with the Aegis in hand, so this could be the fight that they want. They've got to be a little bit careful about their positioning, though. The first hero they'll run into
Brax is in a really
Brax.
good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely breaking that smoke.
Tomato.
Oh, they do
Moon.
get him. Brax is going to get hit up by the bushwhack. Good play from Moon Meander, but there's going to be the arena. It's not going to matter, though. The spear misses, and the Ice Blast will connect. Now we immediately see TPs up to the top lane as... Oh, Saberlight and Bryle came up here. I'm not entirely sure why they both needed to TP that quickly. Saberlight's just going to go into the jungle, and Bryle's actually pushing out the lane, so... A little bit of a weird one, but they do spot Ocean. Dark Willow trying to get away. The Yule Scepter is here, though, so maybe he can make his escape. Gotta wait for that Lotus to come to an end, though. Otherwise, he's still going to get hit up. But now Gunner jumping in there, in onto the Hoodwink. Can they bring him down quickly? Yes. Moon Meander down. Saberlight, almost no mana to work with here, so he should be in some trouble as well. But Bryle in on the backline, able to take down Ocean. He's going to look for the stun onto Sammy, which means Sammy has to fall back. Gunner is now going to use the last of his mana to zip away as well. So,
they see the TV.
But, oh god, Sammy, what are you doing?
Oh my goodness, what a chrono.
Goes back in for that one. I'm not sure what he thought was going to play out there, but that was not the really not the move to make. And uh-oh. Yep, Gunner gets stunned. No more mana.
Oh no.
Can he somehow get out of this? No, he can't. Tomato tracks him down. That the entire second fight of that, or second half of that fight, excuse me, really shouldn't have happened. It seemed like 4 Zoomers had gotten out. Sammy Boy and Gunner are both sort of making their retreat, but Sammy, I don't know if he thought he could maybe preempt his teammates TPing in, or if the pathing messed him up, something along those lines, but just that little step back, that stutter step for just a moment, allows Tomato in there for the lockdown, and that goes disastrously. Undying able to take advantage of a massive opportunity being just sort of gifted to them.
And Tomato immediately pounces on that opportunity, hits a 3-man chrono, he catches Husky helping out his teammate, and look, they're still looking for the fight. Sammy Boy, he has meta, he wants to get in here. I think Saberlight, yeah, might go down.
Though is coming in, so that's going to do a little bit of damage in response, but it doesn't save Saberlight's life, and Sammy, yeah, better safe than sorry. Pops the Sunder there to swap HP.
Okay, it looks like they're going to stop the aggression, but again, they need to find these punishments, and we saw there how few deaths Sammy Boy needs to have on this Terrorblade for those repercussions to be felt pretty much everywhere. And on Moon, again, they keep making these plays on the Hoodwink, but lives in return time and time again.
And Brax, okay, he doesn't use the long charge there. Husky's going to come in with the Overgrowth, and Sammy, okay, sneaking around the backline. Moon Meander taken down, but that's the only kill they've got so far, and Husky, he's not getting out. Bryle and Tomato lock him down, and yeah, as you were sort of saying, I'm not entirely sure.
Sammy?
Uh-oh. why they sort of seem to have this obsession with Moon Meander, but it's going to cost him. Sammy's going to get hit up. He does pop the Manta style there. He'll try to fight his way through this, and Tomato, oh my god, Tomato.
Oh no!
Taken down, but he does have the Aegis. However, look at that. Sammy with the illusions and Ocean in with the damage on the Bedlam will be able to take Ryle down, so I don't know. Sammy, I'm not really sure he could afford to die there, but at least they're able to sort of burn the Aegis and get the DK, but that's still kind of rough. I mean, you really can't afford to let your TB go down too many times here. That's now back-to-back deaths in these engagements.
And Gunnar just kind of sat bottom the entire time. We know that he likes to play split away from this team. He likes to create his own space, but still, I feel like if that Storm Spirit's there, then maybe you're able to get a Sunder off onto your Dark Willow. I don't even know if it's intentional, but something Undying did really well there is they both died at pretty much the exact same time. All three of those heroes pretty much died in a window where you really weren't able to get anything done, and oh, nice Timber Chain out in the Lotus Orb. Again, they fail to make a play onto these heroes that are really in quite questionable positions on the Undying side, but they must be really afraid at this point of, oh, the Void isn't showing. If we give up another Chrono like that, we are going to start losing these tier 2 towers that we really can't afford to give up with this Treant lineup. And now full BKB on Tomato, he's called their bluff. He's gotten the items he needs, and he is no longer afraid of your magic damage.
It feels like right now, Tomato is sort of full steam ahead, while Gunnar is the one who's sort of playing a little bit afraid. Not willing to go all the way in there, and
ooh,
can Tomato get this? He's got the invis, but there's going to be the detection. The Yule Scepter will be thrown out by Ocean, and that should sound the alarm well enough for 4 Zoomers to get themselves away. Brax will blink further forward up the lane and should be able to TP out before Bryle can reach him. Okay, maybe he could have blinked for it, but Bryle didn't really have any reason to suspect that that's what Brax was, so everyone on 4 Zoomers will fall back successfully, all the while the TB, I mean, just trying to take advantage of the time. Farming up while he can, looking for the Scotty into the Aghanim Scepter play, so well, more damage, higher health pool, you'll have that sort of wave of terror to potentially turn things around in the middle of some of those fights, so it's not, I'd say, bad itemization, he just needs more time to get there. Well,
and that's where the farms, or the more farm this Terrorblade gets, the lower your margin of error on the Undying side is, where the higher HP pool, the less time you have to get him to burst out, and Brax is just dead. Nothing he can do. Ocean's got to be careful, he's going to be next. Bushwhack in one. Oof, just barely.
I truly do not understand this at this point. I understand trying to go after the Hoodwink because you think we can take out that lockdown, it's a weak link, it's one of the sort of weaker heroes in the lineup, but to this extent is actually a little bit alarming. They just sort of tunnel visioning in for that Hoodwink the last couple of times. Hasn't worked out. Now
no, if he sees him, the Chrono, the Bushwhack.
Oh, they got him.
They're not even going to need to use it. Okay, they will.
Not sure they needed it, but Tomato not willing to take that risk. They get the kill. They don't have to use a Chronos, or excuse me, a BKB charge. And now what is going on up here? Bit of an interesting maneuver. I don't know if Sammy Boy really wants to fight, and yeah, he's going to back off of it. But Undying, they're just taking advantage of this. 4 Zoomers, just weird positioning. Brax going in for the Hoodwink really by himself. Gunnar sort of getting caught out in the south side jungle. It's just questionable, really, across the board here.
And they have this ward, so they want to make this aggressive play. It's just barely out of Undying Sentry, so they have that confidence, but at the same time, I think these plays are continuing to fall a little bit short, and okay, Bryle is just in on your
bold.
TV. Interesting.
Ice Blast came through, Sharpshooter thrown out as well. The ladder does hit onto Sammy, but they're not really going to be able to do much more with that one. But Bryle, it's not like he's punished for that, so why not? No harm, no foul, I suppose. Just get in there, see what you can get, and he did have the haste rune sort of bottled up to bail himself out if he did get caught, so it seemed a little bit weird, but it's a relatively low-risk play out from your Dragon Knight, and when it doesn't work, you just back yourself away. They're able to get...
And Brax, again.
Brax wants it. Can he get Tomato? He's in with the Yules, dropping the arena into the spear, but there's the BKB.
There's the BKB.
And now Bryle pushing forward, blinks in, goes for that Dragon Tail stun. Husky is going to get completely blown up here, but Gunnar,
He's the Ags.
He's in there with that Electric Vortex. They've got the Terrorize down as well. Saberlight will fall. Bryle will pop the BKB. They got the Disarm in with the Halberd onto the TB as well, so that's going to slow him down. But Brax back into the fight. Overgrowth coming through, burning through that Magic Immunity. Bryle is locked down. They'll finish him off. Tomato now really doesn't want to be here. He's going to walk away. No Chronosphere to deploy, but Gunnar wants to chase after him, but where's the mana? He used it all to zip his way forward, so Tomato's going to be able to time walk himself away, but 4 Zoomers still chasing that Bramble, though. Will not connect. The Reflection, though, is still in onto him, but At this point, yeah, Tomato's just too fast. He's able to get away. He's even got the talent for the time walk CD reduction, so you're not catching up to that one. But fantastic fight for 4Zoomers. That's exactly what they needed.
And again, you feel like you sort of handed them that play. You stay a little bit too long. You use your BKB on the Void already. Tomato wasn't standing up in that fight really at all after the BKB. He knew he had to respect.
Whoa,
that's the Ags are going Storm. Yeah,
they're in.
He got two.
The Hoodwink, they've got it. They get the Spear Stun down onto Tomato. Not going to be able to lock him down fully, though. And again, that cooldown reduction talent on the Time Walk just makes it so it's so hard to actually keep him locked in place. But you take him out of the fight at least. He wasn't able to dish out any damage. Hoodwink goes down and the tier 2 will fall. So 4Zoomers go from down by about 2,500, something like that, to now up by about 2k themselves. It's a rather sizable swing in momentum, and they could look to keep it going. They're sort of eyeing up this top lane. They want in onto the tier 1 tower here, and I don't really know if Undying are going to have all the heroes back up in time to defend it. They do have the DK, but without the Hoodwink, they might hesitate a little bit, but you see the TP's in. They are trying to push their way forward. They're not willing to give up that objective. So, 4Zoomers back away, but again, more farm for Sammy Boy. Aghanim Scepter finished off, Terror Wave online.
And now, Undying, it feels like you gave up a few too many core kills, where now we're going to that eventuality where the margin of error is absolutely zero. Sammy Boy can 100% still die in those chronospheres, but if he's able to walk out, maybe sunder a teammate or an illusion, you have that rebuttal in the Terror Wave. And if you're ever able to get that stun off with the spear, if you're ever able to chain up these heroes, we saw the BKB was just barely coming out from Tomato there. Otherwise, I think you can 100% get 100 to 0'd without getting any spells up, without getting any BKBs or your defensive items. And with this Terror Wave, it feels like that margin for error.
Sammy.
Okay, here we go again. Nice force staff
though, into the overgrowth. Okay. Sammy's falling back. Husky gives his life, but that's working out perfectly for them. But there's going to be the Chrono. They need the Terrorize. They are going to be able to get it, but Tomato had already popped the BKB, so he doesn't care. Husky and Sammy both taken down. It was a nice force staff play, but it ends up not being enough. Neither of those heroes have buyback, but now Bryle going to get hit up by the Yules into the Spear Stun, so that will buy some time for 4Zoomers. Where is Gunner, though? He is getting himself into the fight. He's going to try to zip forward now, getting that Vortex in on the 2. There's going to be Terrorize to follow it up, and Bryle, very low on HP here, can actually bring him down, though. His BKB will be activated, and it looks like he's walking away while Tomato's going to surge himself forward. Ocean is the one who gets taken down, but they've burned through a lot of the resources here. Undying may still have had health, but they didn't really have spells, so they can't remain on the high ground. They are going to be forced to fall back, but they go directly over towards that Roche pit after picking off 3.
And it really just is that 900 damage nuke, the sharpshooter, and Tomato. It's a one-man chrono, but it doesn't matter because you're going to swing Roche in your favor. I think they wholeheartedly make that play without the expectation of this Roche being alive, but this is just sort of icing on top. And here comes the zip. Gunner. Oh no, maybe?
Did he got the, I think he got the cheese.
Yeah, he got the cheese. He might have to use it, though. He's out of mana.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem. He's got to get himself out of here.
There we go.
But hey, that's cheese out of the Undying hands. That's still going to count for quite a bit. They do have the Aegis up on the Faceless Void, and who took the shard? I think Dubu took it? Unless he purchased his own. He does have the upgrade right now.
I think it was... he already purchased his own on the A. I think that was the Flamethrower being finished up for Saberlight. So just another nice damage tool for him.
But it's a risky play for Gunner, that's for sure. But I feel like that could matter. Taking that cheese away, that would be something that they would give over to someone like Ryle or Saberlight. So
they find these two again. It's been Moon and Tomato pretty much the entire game, but both of them have defensive tools. There's a full Aeon Disc on Moon. He might just walk into 3 heroes, though.
Yeah, he is going to get hit up there. The spear is actually not really going to lock him down. Meanwhile, Ice Blast.
Ooh, fancy footwork.
Brax, but here comes Gunner. Gunner zipping forward. They're going to look for the Hoodwink. Can he somehow get himself away? Looking a little bit iffy right now as Gunner comes in. That's the Vortex onto 3. They've actually caught up both Ryle and Saberlight in there as well, but Tomato, he wants into the fight, but the Terror Wave is going to push him back. He doesn't have the Chrono online either, and there's going to be the spear out from Brax. Tomato locked down. Aegis will be burned through. Dubu falls as well, and now Ryle, he's trying to fall back here. Gunner doesn't want to let him go, but Gunner is sort of out of health and mana. He needs to try and get himself away from the fight, but not going to be able to make it out. Saberlight will bring him down. Tomato, though, forces time off himself away. Saberlight now just going to charge in, hoping to take some of the heat off of his teammate as he and Ryle move in, but Sammy
going to be close.
Needs to sunder. Can he somehow get it off? Good force staff is going to keep him alive, but the Lotus, it reflected the Sunder, and Sammy, he's got to run. He just has to leave right now, but Saberlight is not going to let him go. Getting in with the Chakram, trying to drop him down. Sammy, though, still not dead just yet. Using the Manta, trying to get away. Can he somehow make it out? Yes, he can. Saberlight can't actually catch up. The Chakram is going to be a bit off the mark, and it looks like Four Zoomers will get the TV out. The problem is they sacrifice literally everyone else in that fight to make sure Sammy gets away.
And now it feels like everything is going to start coming out for the Undying side. They won that fight without Chrono. I think for Zoomers, they lost focus for just a few seconds there, and it immediately comes back to bite them. They thought they had the Chain Disable onto Saberlight and Bryle, but Bryle, what a BKB, getting it off, knowing that something's coming from the fog, just that gamer sense coming through for him, and he doesn't get Chain Disabled. He doesn't get burned up. And Gunnar, he had to use so much mana. He was sitting back in that mid wave. He had to jump so far just to get in that fight, and really you start that fight off getting a kill onto Moon Meander, but again, you're using so many resources to take down this Hoodwink. This Aeon Disc is such a thorn in your side, and some fancy footwork really kind of spelling out disaster for Gunnar, because if he gets that Hoodwink kill, reset, he has another 500, 600 mana to work with, now mid.
Okay, Gunner's in, they want Saberlight, they're not going to get him
though.
though.
Boy.
But there's the Terror Wave hitting up onto 2, but not really enough, but hey, that's going to be enough to push Undying away. They don't get the tier 3 tower. The living armor is going to be there from the tree, so they can start to heal that one up. And if you're Undying, that's a bit of a missed opportunity. And now I don't know if you really go back in. Four Zoomers are back up in their entirety. You do have the Chrono, but you don't have the Aegis, so feels like it's going to be too much of a risk for them to try and push that far forward here. So they're just going to back away, but they've reclaimed control. They have a decent amount of control over the map as well, and we'll see what they can make happen with it, as we see Moon Meander making his way down bot. Bryle, meanwhile, with that Aghanim Scepter, pushing in with the Black Dragon form.
Ooh.
What can he find as of right now?
Husky, he's going to bump into him.
Oh, okay. They do see the tree. Can they get him out? Gunnar wants in. Vortex down onto 2, but he quickly realizes there's a few too many heroes there. Don't really want to get involved in that one, so going to be able to back away, but that gets Husky out of the fight, and the Overgrowth is still in play.
And you still don't have that Aeon Disc on the Storm Spirit, so making those plays are really a massive risk for him. But now you've got the Black Dragon, you're popping that level 25 on Tomato pretty soon here. That backtrack's going to be available. You can only imagine he's going to go for that with the build he already has for himself, but this is just poking, this is just prodding. I really can't imagine, again, either team is going to play too risky, especially with that third Roche really going to be the only reason either team would throw their bodies at each other. I think we're just going to see sort of a soft reset as Undying get to play on a lot more of the map. They're just going to try and keep Four Zoomers in their base at this point.
Trying to sort of retain control of the map at this point, as we're starting to see some tier 4s coming into play here, so could be the next sort of maybe power spike for Undying, and Four Zoomers, as of right now, don't really have the opportunity to go out and farm those as they're sort of stuck in the base. So we'll see if they make maybe an expedition here. 4 heroes are pushing out. They are going to smoke up, so see what they can do. They've got to really just sort of get the drop on their opponents. And Gunnar, I feel like he's just got to be closer. You mentioned it the last time. He uses so much of his mana to get into the fight. It just feels like the sort of tank is maybe 3/4 empty by the time he's even into the engagement in the first place. So would like to see him still as sort of the trailer on this play, but not quite as far behind physically as he is right now. But Four Zoomers are still pushing. At this point, though, they're pushing in the wrong direction. All the way into the west side jungle, there is no one sort of hanging out in that area for Undying. They're all down bot, looking for the push into their opponent's base.
And this is where now you have to respond. This is going to be a little bit strange. Bryle is just going to immediately hit this tower, and if they get a tier 3, this is a huge win. They're actually starting early. Ocean.
And onto Ocean. Ice Blast coming through. Gunnar, though, zipping in. Vortex connects onto 2, but with the DK having that Black Dragon form, he's so damn tanky. He's got that sort of extra magic resistance, so really he doesn't have to be too afraid of the Storm right now, and if he really does start taking damage, he's got the BKB, and now he's got the initiation jumping in. They're looking for the Terror Blade. Not going to be able to lock him down just yet, though. 4 staffs coming out defensively, but that just means they're in onto the tier 3 tower. They're able to take it down, but the Vortex will connect. Brax is in there as well with the Arena, into the Spear Stun, into the Terror Wave, and they are starting to break through this. Bryle is dropping low. They are going to be able to finish him off. Saberlight not in a great spot either. He's going to look for the TP out, but he's going to be taken down before he can get home, and now Gunnar, well, he's on the attack. Can he catch up to Moon? Well, he can, but the Bushwhack is going to sort of hit him up. Gunnar, though, not giving up on this one. Pushing forward, still needs more mana, however, and I feel like I've said that way too many times in this game. Gunnar needs more mana is just the sort of unfortunate catchphrase of this match, but they do still win the more important fight there. They get 2 core kills. They take out Dubu as well. They weren't really able to do anything to Tomato as the Faceless Void just sort of cleared out in time, but The high ground defense kind of works out for them. Tier 3 tower dead, but some nice kills going their way in exchange.
And really, it's just because Gunnar is constantly playing on the fringe and playing almost into Forzoomer's hands there. So he just gets to sit in Fountain, has that buff, has a little bit more mana to work with. He doesn't have that Orchid or that Bloodstone, so it really is sort of crippling up until he gets this Shiva's Guard. But I think Tomato, he had just recently bought out a Satanic, so he didn't feel comfortable sort of having to chrono the 2 or 3 heroes that were getting chain stunned up there. I think with the Lotus Orb, the Minotaur Horn, and that Flicker, Bryle and Saberlight both felt like they wouldn't need to commit those items, or at least they would have been able to commit them after the fact. But for Zoomers, it's the chain stun play. It's the 3-man Vortex into the 3-man Terror Wave, into the 3-man Terror Rise. And if they keep on getting chained down by that, Tomato has to make that really breakneck decision. Am I going to chrono 3 of my teammates so that way they can maybe survive on 50% HP? He can't make that decision, and it's a decision that he isn't going to willingly make, because if he throws himself in there, there's a very good chance that he will die along with the rest of his boys, because he is not winning a 2v5. He is not that sort of ultimate carry, and what he's playing against, there just isn't going to be enough damage coming in from him. So that's where this position for Forzoomer sort of levels out. That really was the fight that they needed to take bottom, and while you were able to get that tier 3 tower, that's all you were able to take. Of course, Undying, they're not out of it. They're getting their 25s on all of the rest of their cores. And once this Roshan fight sort of boils up, that's really where we're going to see, I think, the victor of this game emerge. Even if they get it on the Undying side, they still need to land those spells. They still need to be playing at such a high level of execution where the punishment, it's definitely there. For Zoomers, again, they're playing that reactive style where you push onto our base, we are going to have an incredibly strong defense. A style we saw them play perfectly yesterday.
Yeah, is rather sort of tried and true for them. And now, I mean, normally maybe you don't pay too much attention to it, but Sammy Boy, he's got the Illusionist Cape on the TB. That is an item that is just stupidly effective, although, okay, Brow gonna jump in here. They're gonna try and get the Ice Blast down, but there's those Force Staffs once again into the Terror Wave, and this is gonna turn. Sammy's looking for the damage. Saberlight getting hit up here. There's not enough of a response from the rest of the lineup just yet, though, and well, if you're Sammy, that was only the Terror Wave, not the actual meta, so he's going to be able to hold on to the sort of longer cooldown spell there, and if you're Undying, I mean, that was a play that 10, 15, 20 minutes ago, you make that, you've got it. Sammy's dead. Really just no sort of other way about it, but now it's not as secure. They try for it, but the Force Staffs are there to push him out of the Ice Blast range, and the reinforcements sort of arrive to help out, and the TB really is not going to get taken down that easily. So it's still a solid initiation from Bryle. It's just not quite as strong as it used to be, and that's where Undying are going to have to be concerned here. Zoomers are starting to pick up speed more and more as this game goes on.
And that's where, again, Husky, he is making these plays. I feel like every single time Sammy Boy's been in trouble, they get that play out, they save their teammate, there's not much they can do. And now Bryle, he's in a timing where 50 seconds, he isn't able to have that Elder Dragon form available to him, no more Black Dragon. And something that I will want to see sort of come into play here is he does have the 25. There is an AoE Dragon Tail in the game right now. So if Bryle is able to find a big one, I think that's a big reason why you see Gunnar sit so far back, not going for that BKB. He's just being incredibly safe. He doesn't want to be the reason his team falls. If he can continue to sort of start off the engagement on the right foot and then keep those heroes chained up with those double fears, that's where Zoomers feel incredibly strong. And that's why I think they're trying to make a new fortress. They're trying to get up on the enemy team's high ground. At the same time, I don't think Undying are really going to bring themselves over there. They want to play around their vision. But Dubu, he is definitely sort of on the cusp here, and again, Tomato.
Oh god, Gunnar. That's one hell of a zip in there. Tomato wasn't quite able to respond in time, and actually he got bashed by Roshan there for a moment as well, so that felt so risky, but Gunnar really operating under the assumption that he was going to be okay to get himself back out, and now this is a bit of an awkward scenario. Undying are sort of poking at the Roche pit, but they know that not Undying, that 4 Zoomers are up here. They saw the Gunnar sort of zip in from that direction. They scanned it out a little bit earlier as well. But Gunnar still in there. The Ice Blast is going to come through in response, but Terror Wave deployed. They're trying to jump in. Saberlight dropping low. Overgrowth will be coming through, but Bryle is coming in for the stun. Tomato's going to connect with the Chrono. Do they have the damage, though? Sammy is not going down, so instead they focus in on the Brax. Going to be able to take him down. Brax, though, immediately buying back. Sammy is looking for a Sunder target here. Needs to be able to find one. There it is. Tomato pulled in by the Vortex as well. Now on low HP, able to time walk up onto the high ground, though, but Gunnar continued to chase. Brax newly into the fight after that buyback, looking to push forward as well, but Tomato still will not go down, and now it's Sammy who's the one in trouble. They have to be able to save him, but they can't do it. Sammy goes down, and Undying are going to start to turn this fight. Saberlight, timber chaining his way forward. Buyback coming in immediately, though, as Gunner is actually looking to TP out.
Oh, they got two. The Dragon Tail.
AoE Dragon Tail connects. They don't hit Gunner, but they get both Husky and Brax. Brax just fought back, so he's done. He's out for 100 seconds, and Undying, I think they have control here. They could just try and turn around for the pit. Sammy, what can he do here? There's no meta. There's no Terror Wave. And Brax, who's a lot of that sort of lockdown, wouldn't be available to help them out either, but they're still trying for it. But Bryle, another stun in onto 2. Tomato going to try to time walk his way forward as well. They want Ocean first. They're going to try to bring him down, but Gunner into the middle of this fight. He locks Tomato down with the Electric Vortex, but that leaves Sammy on the front line. They really can't afford to lose him here. He's already committed the buyback. They have to keep him alive, but he's dead. Ice Blast comes in. Sammy's gone, and honestly, that might not just be Roche. That could be quite a bit more.
Yeah, they call it immediately after. That's it. Okay.
Oh, boy.
And, oh my goodness, that's just so unlucky. And I can't even say unlucky, because Undying, they kited that out perfectly. And it felt sketchy for just a moment there, right? You have Tomato, he's unable to heal off that damage coming in from the Sunder, because like many weird interactions with that spell, it's not damage, it's just a swap. He isn't able to heal. But then Bryle, the man himself, finding those two incredibly impactful Dragon Tail stuns where the game immediately flips. Gunner doesn't have this build. The Roche is just a little bit too far away from his base. He's not able to sustain himself. Once he pops everything with his item build, he can't stick around. And once you force that Roche to those lower HP pools, Sammy Boy, again, he was sort of forced into that close quarter situation where all of the damage, everything just got piled onto him. I don't think in that fight they were even able to kill Saberlight once. They had all of this burst damage, all this potential, but the control, it was just barely to there. They weren't able to find these backline heroes. And several times there, I felt like Bryle was getting bursted down, kited up, and you had that meta range coming in from Sammy Boy, but it almost felt like that swapped high ground position just completely favored Undying. They had all of the vision in the world, they had all the power, and really with this build on Storm, you weren't able to get that region. You weren't able to stay strong in the fight, and I don't even think we saw a massive Chrono. We just saw them get completely kited and blown out of the water there, and what a game to lead off this best of 5.
Absolutely massive from Undying. I mean, they come into this with a little bit of momentum after that 2-0 sweep over Infamous, and they're certainly playing like a squad who's sort of got the hot hand, right? They're looking good. They're feeling good. Their teamfight execution on the back end there was nearly flawless. And for Zoomers, yeah, I don't know. It just sort of all goes poorly for them in that final fight. Sammy, it wasn't really even that he was necessarily out of position. He ended up being too far forward, but only because the rest of 4 Zoomers kind of leave him. Brax gets killed off. Gunner sort of zips himself away, and all of a sudden your TB sort of sitting there with 4 heroes in front of him, not really sure what to do with himself. So, well, I mean, this was the only time that Undying were able to sort of take them down in that previous match. They were able to take advantage of just the slightest little mistakes with that TB lineup, and unfortunately for 4 Zoomers, a similar scenario plays out here as Undying going to be able to hit them up for the Game 1 win.
Yeah, and it's just those slight positional errors. And there was a situation there, right? In the arena, you've got Bryle, you've got Saberlight. Both of them are stunned up. I don't know if he hit a double spear or just the single one. And Saberlight was sitting at maybe 800, 900 HP, but very simply pops the Minotaur Horn, pops the Eternal Shroud. All of your damage sort of ceases. And when you go to this late game stage, really, you're getting out of the realm where Husky and Ocean can feel impactful. They have that chain stun, but they're no longer supplying that damage or that control. And it's just those little moments where 4 Zoomers, they're not able to keep the Undying heroes chained up absolutely perfectly. It's a small glimpse of an error, and they immediately get punished for it. And if Sammy doesn't go down there, if he kites out a little bit more, they just put all of that pressure on themselves, where if Undying get this Roche, we feel like the game is going to be way harder. I really think 4 Zoomers could have stalled it out. Their high ground was so strong. They just, I think, threw away the game a little bit there, using their buybacks a little bit too quickly.
Feels like they just go all in for that Roche fight, and when you go all in and you lose, there's not a whole lot else to do other than GG out. So 4 Zoomers at least able to sort of recognize we took a gamble, did not pay off. So Undying take the lead in this best of 5 series, jumping out to a 1-0 advantage. They've won 3 straight games today, looking for their 4th straight win as well. If they can sort of channel this momentum, keep themselves moving forward into that Game 2 scenario, then they could really put 4 Zoomers in a position where they're just sort of backed into a corner. So we'll see what plays out. The Game 2 draft should be coming up in really just a couple of minutes here. So we will be hopping into a break, but when we return, we'll see how Game 2 of this best of 5 ends up playing out.